Okay. All right, everybody. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Understanding of Hyperpigmentation course with Universal Skin Science, created by myself, Derrick Odomes III. I am a practicing licensed medical esthetician here in the state of Florida. I have been a part of the field for going on 5 years now. Yay me. Um, I'm also a formulator, an instructor, and a sales expert of over 10 years. Today, I wanted to introduce something to you all, me and Maria. We wanted to introduce something to you all that is going to be a game changer, but it's also going to really help you all be diverse in the way that you practice aesthetics. And it will also scientifically tune you all up. That way, when you're in front of a client that you have yet to come across, you're not on the fence and you're not so afraid to take a course of action. Can we put that person on mute, please?
Yes, if you guys can all please check your microphones and make sure you're on mute.
Are we all set? Okay, I think we are. All right. So first things first, the introduction to hyperpigmentation. As we all know, hyperpigmentation refers to the darkening of certain areas of the skin due to an increase in melanin production. Now, what is melanin? Melanin, as we know, is the pigment responsible for skin, hair, and eye color, and it plays a crucial role in hyperpigmentation. Now, a deeper understanding of melanin types is essential for effective skincare. Getting ready to introduce you to the different types of melanin that exist and how you can recognize that in the human body. So these are the 3 types of melanin that you're going to be introduced to today. We have eumelanin, pheomelanin, and neuromelanin. Okay, now each type has distinct characteristics that influence skin color and conditions. And as far as melanocytes are concerned, they are specialized skin cells responsible for melanin production. However, what we didn't know is that the melanocytes also determine the type and quantity of melanin that's produced in the skin. I'll give everybody a second to write that down. Okay. Now, the melanin scale, which is something that you're going to be introduced to today, versus the Fitzpatrick scale. Why is the Fitzpatrick scale a thing of the past? Why does that belong to the bygone era? Well, here's several reasons. The first reason is for a lack of representation. The Fitzpatrick scale primarily focuses on the response of lighter skin tones to sun exposure, but it doesn't adequately account for individuals with darker skin tones, which makes it less relevant for estheticians working with diverse clientele in their populations or their local areas. The second thing is inadequate differentiation. So the Fitzpatrick scale divides skin types into 6 categories, which means that it doesn't take into account anyone that may be of mixed race, anyone that has any genetic differences that are kind of rare to come across, but it just really leads to inaccurate treatments in the treatment room and adverse reactions in some cases. And this is why we may or may not have a client. Reason number 3, this ignores, the Fitzpatrick scale ignores ethnic and genetic factors. The skin type is influenced by various genetic and ethnic factors that the Fitzpatrick scale does not consider. And these factors affect how the skin responds to treatments and products, and ignoring them can result in suboptimal outcomes. Basically, what that means is ignoring these things could be the very reason why your client had a bad experience in the treatment room. Then we have risk of overgeneralization. Relying solely on the Fitzpatrick scale can lead to overgeneralization and assumptions about an individual's skincare needs based solely on their skin type, which may not be accurate or effective. This is something that we come across quite a bit. In fact, even in the money-making esthetician group, I've seen a lot of responses that were just a bit too general for the cases that I've seen. Now, then we have limitations on personalization. If you don't have an understanding of someone's background to a depth that is so far that you can recognize the type of melanin that they have producing in their body, you might not be able to personalize treatment because you're afraid of messing something up or giving someone post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation or sensitizing their skin. So it really puts limits on you in the treatment room when you don't have knowledge outside of the Fitzpatrick scale. Now, the melanin scale, what makes this thing so significant and what makes it so much better than the Fitzpatrick scale? Well, with the melanin scale, it has inclusivity for diverse skin tones. This means that the melanin scale acknowledges the diversity of human skin tones and considers different types of melanin found in various ethnic backgrounds. This inclusivity ensures that individuals with darker skin tones are not overlooked, addressing a significant limitation of the Fitzpatrick scale. Next, it recognizes melanin variability. Human skin can contain different types of melanin, including eumelanin and pheomelanin. Pay attention, y'all. Y'all just got the first two types of melanin being talked about if you didn't catch it in the beginning. Eumelanin and pheomelanin, those are the main types of melanin that shows up in the human body and is responsible for skin tone, skin color, hair color, and eye color. Now, the melanin scale accounts for these variations, providing a more nuanced understanding of skin pigmentation. Reason number 3, customized skincare approaches. By considering the types of melanin and their impact on the skin, estheticians using the melanin scale can tailor treatments and skincare regimens to better suit an individual's unique needs. This personalization can lead to more effective and safer skincare practices. If you know exactly what you're looking at, you don't have to be afraid to come up with the best course of action. Now, this scale also addresses hyperpigmentation and hypopigmentation. And basically what that means is for anyone that lacks any pigment in their skin, the Fitzpatrick scale, it only really accounts for the fact that there's albinism, but it doesn't discuss the diversity in albinism like vitiligo and things of that nature. Then we have the evolving understanding of melanin. As our knowledge of melanin and its role in the skin continues to evolve, the melanin scale can adapt to incorporate new insights and research. And this adaptability ensures that skincare professionals stay up to date with the latest advancements. So basically, you could use this thing to even merge with technology that's out there today, conducting skin analysis that is far beyond what we do with the mag lamp. Now, a holistic approach to skin health is another benefit of using the melanin scale. When you have a very in-depth understanding of the different types of melanin showing up in the skin, then you can also be a little more holistic with your approach to skincare. It goes beyond UV response and factors in other aspects of skin physiology, which can lead to an improved overall outcome in the treatment room. So to summarize this for you all, the melanin scale offers a more inclusive, personalized, and comprehensive approach to assessing and treating skin based on the types of melanin present in an individual's skin, and it addresses many of the limitations associated with the Fitzpatrick scale, making it a valuable tool for licensed estheticians striving to provide effective and culturally sensitive skincare services to a diverse clientele. Now, let's talk about those different types of melanin. The first being eumelanin. Eumelanin is the pigment, that's the type of melanin that is responsible for individuals who have a darker pigment in their skin. So when you look at darker skin types, which we used to call a 4 through 6 on the Fitzpatrick scale, these are individuals that have eumelanin rich skin, okay? Now, the ethnic backgrounds that are prevalent with this type of melanin would be individuals of African, Mediterranean, or Asian descent. When it comes to skin tones, hair color, and eye colors, eumelanin contributes to various skin tones ranging from deep brown to olive, as well as hair colors like black or brown and eye colors such as brown.
Yay.
Okay. So when you're looking at someone like myself, I literally have nothing but eumelanin showing up in my skin. That's from the dark tones in my skin color to the dark pigment in my hair and also my brown eyes. All right. Now, the role that eumelanin plays in the human body, it actually provides protection against UV rays by converting them into heat, helping prevent sun damage. So for individuals that have eumelanin-rich skin, they have this function that takes place inside their body where UV rays aren't even penetrating. They're being converted into a different type of energy and dissipated as heat. So anyone that goes outside when they're like, oh my God, it's really hot, and they have really dark skin, it's not because they're absorbing heat, it's because they're generating it out of their skin. Okay, now the common conditions that are associated with someone having eumelanin-rich skin would be obviously hyperpigmentation, solar lentogens, folliculitis, and things of that nature. Now let's talk about ultra-fast internal conversion. I know some of you probably want to know, what is internal conversion? What does that look like? So internal conversion is a crucial process that occurs within the human body, primarily in the context of melanin, the pigment responsible for skin, hair, and eye color. This process plays a pivotal role in protecting the body from the harmful effects of ultraviolet radiation, particularly from the sun. So after absorbing UV radiation, the melanin undergoes an ultra-fast internal conversion process, which means that it rapidly converts it. I mean, it's not even a second that it takes for this to take place. So let's say these keys were UVA and UVB rays. Once this makes contact with the melanocytes, they go in there, they come in as one thing and come out as a completely different thing, which is heat. And that is the very reason why individuals with eumelanin in their skin get hyperpigmentation. Hyperpigmentation is viewed as a bad thing for individuals on this side of the spectrum. But as we know, as licensed professionals, it's a defense mechanism to prevent any further, to prevent any further UVA or UVB rays from penetrating, going toward the internal organs and things of that nature. So what happens is when you get that darker pigment, your body's really protecting you. And in a sense, we think that it's an insecurity. That's the way that the industry has built that out for these people with darker skin tones, but it's actually a good thing because you're not going to come back with any cancerous lesions or anything of that nature as a result of this happening. Now, another thing that takes place for individuals with this type of functionality in their skin is that they also get an increased, there's an increased rate of heat in the body. Normally they say that the body is 96.7 or something like that, where the temperature is normal. Individuals with eumelanin-rich skin has about a 0.15% difference when it comes to heat in the body, and that's in Celsius, not Fahrenheit. But our bodies are 0.15% hotter than the average human body because of this function. Now let's talk about pheomelanin. pheomelanin is responsible for lighter pigmentation and is typically found in individuals with European or fair-skinned backgrounds. However, it's important to note that pheomelanin's presence isn't limited to a specific ethnicity or tone. So pheomelanin does not mean that that's just secluded to white or Asian or any light ethnicity. That does not mean that it's just for them only. There are individuals with darker skin tones that also have high concentration of pheomelanin showing up in their body, and you'll get to see what that looks like today. Now, while pheomelanin is more prevalent in people with European or fair-skinned backgrounds, it can also be present in individuals from various ethnicities, including some Asian and Middle Eastern populations. We honestly see it all the time and probably didn't even realize it. Now, pheomelanin is associated with fair skin tones ranging from pale to light beige. It's also responsible for hair colors such as red, strawberry blonde, lighter shades of brown. Also, in terms of eye colors, pheomelanin contributes to the blue, the greens, the hazels, the gray eye colors, and all those really unique colors in between. All of that is pheomelanin. Oh, that's there twice. All right. So it's crucial for you all to understand that individuals of any ethnicity may have variations in their melanin types. For instance, someone with primarily eumelanin-rich skin, which is common in African, Mediterranean, or Asian backgrounds, may still have traces of pheomelanin due to their genetic makeup. So just because of this whole thing here does not mean we need to ignore genetics and DNA and things like that. It still plays a huge role in this, but it does not mean that because a person has predominantly eumelanin-rich skin, that there isn't pheomelanin showing up, and vice versa. Now, this is the melanin scale. If we pay attention to the right side, I'm actually going to zoom in so you all can see. Let's look at pheomelanin first, okay? Now, when we look at this, I want you to notice, if you pay attention very closely, you can see the young lady on the left, she is an individual with albinism, just as the young man on the right. Now, the difference between these two is the young lady on the left is of European descent with albinism, and we have a young man who is of African descent with albinism. But they both only have pheomelanin showing up in their skin. Even for him, his eye color is not brown. I can't tell if it's blue or gray or what it is, but it's a light color, as you can see. Now, for the individuals right up under them, we have our blonde hair and our blue eyes, which is all pheomelanin. Right under them, we have what I call our borderline blondes. These are individuals that have brown hair at the roots, but it eventually turns blonde. They still have their light green or blue eyes and things of that nature. Right under them, we have our redheads. Now, these are individuals that have the red hair, they have the light blue eyes, or sometimes we can see them with hazel eyes, green eyes. The eyes can come in so many different colors. And then we have this young man and this lady right up under him, under them. They are redheads, but I actually didn't even catch this. This young man here also has eumelanin showing up. Can anybody tell me where the eumelanin is showing up for the young man on the left-hand side? Anybody?
Brown eyes.
Correct. Now, that was a great call. Is there anything else that you can see that may be giving that away aside from the brown eyes? Okay, so aside from the brown eyes, even though he's a redhead, eumelanin still shows up in his hair color because it's not just red. If you notice, there are also brown tones under there as well, which is where that darker pigment in the hair shows up. His hair is kind of a brownish reddish if you really get into it. Then we have these individuals down here with the more dark brown hair, but they also have the light blue eyes. So this is what pheomelanin looks like for individuals that have predominantly pheomelanin showing up in their skin. Now let's talk about eumelanin. With eumelanin, we'll start at the darkest. We have individuals where we would consider them a Fitzpatrick 6 on the scale down here, where they are so dark that they almost look blue, right? Then right above them, we have our Fitzpatrick 5, which they're still very dark, but they don't really look almost like it's a whole nother color. They have the dark brown eyes, dark hair, just like these individuals here. Then when we get a little closer to the top, we have our individuals who are Indian. And with them, they have more of a light brown tone, but they still have the dark pigment in their hair and the dark brown eyes. Then we have Keke Palmer and Gabrielle Union. I just had to throw them in there. These are our African Americans, where they have more of a lighter tone. Some of that still can range because I've seen African Americans just as dark as our Africans down there. But either way, this is how eumelanin shows up in the skin. They have that light brown complexion, but they also have the dark pigment in their hair and eye color. And then we have our South Asians at the top. These are individuals that also have a high concentration of eumelanin predominantly in their skin, but they also have the dark hair and the brown eyes. When we talk about individuals that have both, this is why the melanin scale is so important. When we look at these two girls here, these are identical twins, but one has more eumelanin in her skin and one has more pheomelanin showing up in her skin. Here, we have a young man with vitiligo. Obviously, he has both pheomelanin and eumelanin showing up in his skin. We have a young lady who is someone that has predominantly eumelanin in her skin, but pheomelanin is showing up all throughout her hair. So she has the darker skin tone, but she's a redhead, and she still has the dark brown eyes. Over here, we have someone of Asian descent, but she has pheomelanin showing up in her face because of the hair, but also the freckles. Now, can anyone tell me where the eumelanin is showing up on her? Don't all speak at once.
On her eyes.
Her eyes.
Okay, and there's one more thing. Let me see if y'all can catch it. The eyes, it's definitely the eyes, but there's one more.
On her freckles.
Freckles.
The freckles would be the pheomelanin. I'm talking about the eumelanin. Where's the darker pigment showing?
Brows.
Brows. Her brows.
Yes, the eyebrows. So this is how you can have diversity showing up right in front of you and not recognize it. Now, the reason why the freckles is not eumelanin is because you can have a person of a darker skin tone and they still have the freckles showing up, and they're actually lighter than that base pigment in the skin. Freckles is a result of pheomelanin production. Okay, and then we have this Indian woman here. She's also obviously South Asian, but she has vitiligo. She has pheomelanin showing up, and there's also eumelanin showing up in her skin, but the pheomelanin is more dominant. Can anyone point out where the eumelanin shows up and where the pheomelanin shows up for this individual?
Is it eumelanin in the lighter portions, and then I'm sorry, how you pronounce the other one again?
Pheomelanin.
pheomelanin and like the darker pigmentation on top of the lighter pigment?
Okay, so I think you said it right, and you might have mixed it up. So the pheomelanin is associated with the lighter skin tone. Eumelanin is associated with the darker pigment. So for her, the eumelanin would be showing up where there is the darker pigment in her skin, but also the hair, the eyebrows, and the eye color. And then the pheomelanin shows up where she has those lighter patches there. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Now, for this young man, can anyone tell me where pheomelanin shows up for him?
It's darker. Definitely be his eyes.
Definitely. But everything else is predominantly eumelanin, correct?
Melanin. Yes.
Correct.
All right. Now, for this young woman, I want to see if anybody can catch this. Where is the diversity for this young woman?
Eyes.
Eyes, eyebrows, hair color.
Yes. So she literally has a perfect blend of both going through her hair and her eyes and her eyebrows, but she's also an albino.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also why it's very important to pay attention to this. And then look at this little guy here. He has pure pheomelanin in that hair, but eumelanin all through his skin and his eyes. We have this lady. Does anybody watch Suits?
Yes.
We have Rachel Zane from Suits. All right, so she is Afro-Latina, and I wanted to see if y'all can pick out where her diversity shows. Tell me where the eumelanin is. Tell me where the pheomelanin shows up.
What was the question again?
Where is the pheomelanin and where's the eumelanin for this individual?
So the eumelanin would be her brows and eyes.
And what else?
Hair.
Yes. Okay, and the pheomelanin?
Her
face.
Her face.
Complexion.
The skin tone, but there's also something there in that face. I don't know if y'all can see it or not. She has freckles.
Freckles.
Yeah, they real light.
Yeah, they're very light, which means that they probably come and go. All right, then we have this individual here. Uh-oh. I can't remember what film she's from, but I love her. She's a great actress. Now, what's her name?
Megan Fox. She was in Jennifer's Body.
Oh, yes.
Transformers.
She's also playing Natara for the new Mortal Kombat game. So, where is the pheomelanin and the eumelanin for this individual?
The eumelanin is her brows, her hair, her eyes.
No. There's pheomelanin in the eye.
Okay, not the eyes, just the brows and the hair.
Yes. And the other young lady was correct. The pheomelanin shows up in her eyes, but also in her skin tone. Okay. So if you just take a look at this overall, when you compare this to an individual in your face, it will help you understand, okay, this person is not just one type. No matter what the nationality is, there's always going to be diversity in the melanin that shows up in the human body. And that's why this particular scale is so good to have as a tool for you as licensed professionals, because you'll never be able to say that you don't know what you're looking at again. Now, let's talk about sun damage versus hyperpigmentation. In the treatment room, a lot of estheticians can make the mistake of misleading their clients without even knowing, because of the fact that we have been misled altogether about hyperpigmentation and sun damage. Now that we understand eumelanin and pheomelanin, I like to see if we can tell the distinct difference today. So with sun damage, for anyone that has predominantly pheomelanin showing up in their skin, is this someone that can endure hyperpigmentation?
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna go one by one. Everybody go one by one and tell me your answer.
You could also
Any-
put it in the chat.
Yeah, put it in the chat. That's what I meant to say. All right. And then Maria, if you can tell me how many yeses versus how many nos that we got.
Okay, I'm watching. I see a lot of yeses. I see a no.
Okay.
So all yeses, one no.
All right. So we all
No.
So no, just one no?
Now there's 3 no's.
Okay. So the question again, I'm gonna give everyone a chance before we come out with the verdict. So the question is, for someone that has predominantly pheomelanin in their skin, is this someone that can endure hyperpigmentation?
I'm seeing a yes, no, yes.
Okay. So the correct answer is no, and I'm going to explain why. For an individual that has predominantly pheomelanin in their skin, let's go back to the melanin scale. These are individuals predominantly with pheomelanin showing up in their skin. Now, if we go back to the part where we talk about internal conversion.
I don't know what this is. Last year when
Can we put them on mute, please? All right, thank you. All right, so for individuals with predominantly pheomelanin showing up in the skin, these are individuals where UVA and UVB rays are literally passing through the skin to the internal organs. And this is why SPF exists. For individuals that do not have the ability to convert UVA and UVB rays into heat, they wind up absorbing the UVA and UVB rays, and then it turns into sun damage over time. Now, for individuals with predominantly eumelanin in their skin, the UVA and UVB rays don't pass to the internal organs. It's converted into heat and spit back out of the body. So the reason why SPF exists is because the main active ingredient is supposed to deflect that light from passing through to the internal organs. But they haven't quite gotten the formulas right with SPF, so it's still happening to a lot of people, which is why you have clients who wear their SPF faithfully and they still have some kind of problem with sun damage or a cancerous lesion or something of the sort, whether it's a sensitivity, eczema flare-up, psoriasis, anything that as a result of us absorbing too much UVA and UVB radiation or heat, you basically have an adverse reaction. So anyone that is predominantly with pheomelanin in their skin, hyperpigmentation is not what you're going to endure. You're going to endure sun damage. And the reason why it can be confusing is because you still get like those brown spots once that sun damage comes in. That is not eumelanin. That is basically sun damaged skin that's turning dead. And eventually it needs to be exfoliated or removed at some point. Now, for individuals that want to see what that looks like, I actually have something here. Okay, so this is sun damage. When we look at these photographs, we can see the brown spots there, which is why we can think that that is eumelanin showing up. But these are individuals that have predominantly pheomelanin showing up. So that means blonde hair, light eye colors, light skin tones. When they're outside, they're not going to produce eumelanin. They may have a very small percentage of it in there, but it's not enough for them to get darker to produce that pigment that they need to absorb UVA and UVB rays and convert them into heat. Okay? Now, hyperpigmentation looks like this. Okay? Now, even if we look at the neck on the top left corner or those fingers there, this is someone that absorbed a little too much UVA and UVB rays in those specific areas. So the body felt the need to produce more eumelanin to prevent anything from getting in there, okay? Now, for 1 to 2% of individuals that have predominantly eumelanin showing up in their skin, they still can endure sun damage, sunburns, and things of that nature, which is why they push for everyone to wear an SPF. But let's talk about SPF for a second. When you're wearing your sunscreen, let me ask this question. Has anybody come across a client where the client started having issues with sensitivity as a result of wearing sunscreen? Maria, let me know if you get yeses and no's.
I got a yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so
Two
everyone is pretty much seeing this. And then for individuals that has anyone come across a client that had to go and see an oncologist and they said, I don't know why I have to go through this. I've worn my SPF faithfully. I wear it every day. I wear it at the beach. I barely go outside. Has anyone come across a client like that?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's this third type of client. I'm sure there are going to be more yeses and maybe even some no's. But for anyone that deals with our darker skin tones, if we have clients that are, eumelanin rich, have you had anyone tell you, I didn't start having issues with hyperpigmentation until I started wearing SPF? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay, so for the first two questions, for those yeses, I like for some of them to share their stories.
You're welcome to turn on your mics.
Yes, who'd like to share their experience with a client that had an issue with SPF? And tell us what happened.
So I'll share. I had a client where when they were using the SPF, they would notice a sensation kind of around their eyes, and they would feel like a really interesting, I wouldn't say burning, but just like an itchy sensation.
Okay.
That was a situation that I had personally.
Okay. Did you find anything that helped the situation? Was there any course of action that you took? Or were there any hacks or tips and tricks that you gave your client to not experience that again?
Quite honestly, it was the first time I ever ran into that. And we ended up looking at trying a different sunscreen to see if that would maybe, change the situation. And that did help. So I'm not super familiar with formulation personally, like I'm still growing in my business. But that was something that did help.
Okay. Anyone else have any other experiences they like to share?
I had an experience with something similar where the chemical sunscreen was actually irritating her skin, causing like little chemical burns.
Okay.
So two things we did was add a vitamin C, magnesium in it, and then I switched her to a physical. Being that she was dark skin, we did more like a makeup powder, like a BB, just so she won't have that reaction.
Got you. Okay, and did that work out?
It did.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the vitamin C helped with the hyperpigmentation that it was causing as well.
Wonderful. All right, any other stories?
I have one that's similar to the thing that we did was we switched to a mineral sunscreen, and I found that that's helped a lot of my clients who have used SPF. The chemical sunscreen is usually what causes them to have reactions, get red, irritate their eyes. And then once we switch to mineral, they no longer have those problems.
Gotcha. Has anyone come across a client that does not like mineral SPF? Like they don't really like wearing the makeup type of sun protection?
Yes, my daughter, she is white as a ghost, and she will not wear it because she says it makes her feel heavy.
Like kind of clogged and okay.
Clogged.
All right. And do we have any other interesting stories with SPF?
My daughter can't wear SPF. She gets almost like it's red and it gets flaky. Somebody said it was contactitis, but I'm not really sure. I'm pretty new into the esthetician world, and I'm sorry, I'm sick. So I do sound like a 9-year-old smoker.
Oh, no, it's okay. Don't worry about how you sound. Any other stories? Because I have a few I'd like to share, and then I'm going to share why these things are happening with you all. Any other interesting stories?
Not really. Mine was similar to the first young lady that said about the
With the eye area?
Yes.
Okay. So in my experience, I have come across individuals that had rosacea. I've come across individuals with psoriasis. I've come across individuals that pretty much had issues with hyperpigmentation as a result of wearing SPF. And everyone that I've come across, I wound up having to tell them to stop wearing the SPF. I didn't recommend a mineral SPF, which is something I didn't think about because for these individuals, they like to have a fresh, glowy, washed face, if that makes sense. And these young ladies I'm talking about were actually my students when I was an instructor. So one of them with the rosacea, she was using Dermalogica's SPF. And I explained to her what the main culprit is. And after about 3 days of her not wearing it anymore, the redness had subsided quite a bit. And she couldn't believe that not wearing SPF was the thing that helped her. So it's not to say that we don't need protection. We just have to make sure that we're looking at what we're putting on our bodies to make sure that it's ideal for ourselves or our clients. For the lady that had the psoriasis, she had this in her hand, and she was told by her dermatologist that she should put SPF on the area because there was an open wound. And doing that, she felt like it made matters worse because she started feeling more pain and sensitivity there. So I told her to stop, and I put a different substance on her hand, and she felt immediate relief. And that was the first time she ever felt something like that. Then I had an individual who actually went to an oncologist twice because they're like a beach babe, and they love going out into the sun all the time, but they wore their SPF faithfully and they didn't understand why it was happening to them. I had them bring that SPF into me, and it was actually Image's SPF, the one that has like all the clogging ingredients, like the dimethicone and all that other stuff in there. I think that one was recalled, by the way. After the second trip to the oncologist and getting all the treatments and things done to prevent those lesions from coming back, this particular client said they were never going to wear it again because they felt like that's what was causing it. So that's why I asked them to bring it in. And when I looked into it, there were ingredients back there like octocrylene, avobenzone, benzene, dimethicone. There was acetyl something, I can't even pronounce it, the word is so long. But those were 5 ingredients that are considered filler ingredients. And those ingredients were in that bottle to pretty much stabilize the main active ingredient so that it could thrive in this environment. So I started wondering, why did they need those ingredients to stabilize the main active ingredient? The main active ingredient should be the zinc. So when I looked into it, and I want you all to look this up, when you look into water-based sunscreens, the chemical SPFs that were pushed to market and recommend to our clients, ZNO is the scientific name for the synthetic variation of zinc oxide. Now, for individuals this is how you'll recognize this variant of zinc. When you have that cast over the face, that film, that white residue that's left behind, or when you have the adverse reactions that some of you mentioned, like the sensitivities and the burning around the eyes and that kind of thing. All of that is an indicator that the zinc oxide in that SPF is synthetic. Now, what's the problem with this is that synthetic zinc oxide, also ZNO, it basically, it makes you prone to cellular deterioration as a result of making contact with heat. So for individuals wearing this stuff, the minute they go outside, they're being attacked right away by the sun as a result of wearing that synthetic zinc. The zinc also is not soluble in water. So why is it in a water-based formula if it's not soluble in water? That means that the efficacy behind the ingredient is little to nothing. But they push for us to make our clients wear this stuff, and they don't tell us these things. And what makes it so scary is that sometimes the chemist or the manufacturer behind the product might not even know if the actual ingredient is authentic or not, because the person that pays for the supplies and everything has no idea about formulation or anything. They're just the person that signs the checks. And we see this a lot in the industry where people who have no level of expertise is the owner. So when you have something like that going on and everybody's saying, wear your SPF, we don't have time to think for ourselves as licensed professionals because we're told this is mandatory, you have to do it. Now, there was a dermatologist that I came across that when he used the synthetic version of this zinc in an oil-based environment, it actually worked a lot better for him and his clients. So I was wondering, well, if he knows that this particular strand of zinc thrives better in an oil-based environment, why does the industry not know this? Why does the industry not push for this? I have yet to hear about an oil-based SPF where the zinc is the main active ingredient. They're using other things these days, but not that. So when you have clients that have adverse reactions as a result of wearing an SPF, look at the back of the bottle and see if any of those things that I mentioned are in there. Do I have any questions about this topic?
I wanted to ask, was the ZNO, is that what it would say in the ingredients list?
No, it would just say zinc. It wouldn't tell you whether it's authentic or whether it's synthetic. But you can recognize it by seeing, the thing about synthetic ingredients is that they're inorganic compounds. The human body rejects inorganic compounds. So that's why that happens when we're like, oh, it's not penetrating, or it's not doing this, or it's not doing that. And you have some people that will mix it with moisturizer to get it to not have that film or that cast over the skin. But yes, there's no way of knowing aside from paying attention to how the body responds to it.
Will we have
I'm sorry?
will we have access to like what you just told us?
That about the synthetic zinc and all that good stuff?
Yes.
I can make that possible.
Okay.
So everybody's getting certification for this class anyway. So when you email us, I'll just have my assistant make sure that she includes that literature in there for you all.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
What is an SPF you recommend?
So for me specifically, I I actually recommend what's called an SPF alternative. It's called the Hydro Defense Serum. And this particular product, it is a lot better than SPF because it's not SPF, and it has zinc naturally in the formula. It's also paired with a lot of antioxidants, humectants, and all the things essential that should make a perfect SPF: anti-aging, prevention from any sensitivities, a reduction in redness. You have that glow that you're supposed to have. But the best part about it is if this thing was an SPF, the sun protection factor would be 2,880 to 4,372. And if you don't know what that means that after one application, this stuff continues working underneath your skin for 24 to 72 hours after application. So I always recommend that one because it's never failed. And it actually has helped a lot of licensed professionals get repeat clients as a result of having that exclusively in their treatment rooms.
Lisa, what was the name of the serum?
The Hydro Defense Serum. So Hydro Defense, DEFENCE, like
Where
the
do you
British.
purchase it?
You can get this at aesthetics.com. That's O as in Oscar, S as in Sam, THETICS.com. And if you use the word money making, you'll save 15%.
Hey.
Okay.
You.
You're welcome.
Love
Now,
Yeah.
don't we? Now, is there any other questions about synthetic zinc or SPF or anything involving hyperpigmentation?
I had put it in the chat, but do you have any like books you recommend as far as like for understanding formulations or just different chemicals and how they work together in skincare products?
No, I do not recommend any books, but this is what I do recommend because this is what I did and this is how I got so good with ingredients as a formulator. When you have a product that you want to learn about and you're interested in ingredients, pay attention to the first 3 to 4 ingredients on any ingredient deck. Or if you're interested in the way that something functions, always look up stuff like this. What ingredients and what active constituents are inside this product that create this mechanism of action? I'll say that again. What ingredient or active constituent creates this mechanism of action for this product? Okay? Now, when you ask a question like that, what's going to happen is you're going to find out what's inside the bottle, where the ingredient is sourced from, but also what ingredient is inside the ingredient that creates that function. So an active constituent, I'll give an example of what that means. Let's talk about blue tansy essential oil. Anybody knows about blue tansy? If we don't, it's okay. Blue tansy essential oil is a Moroccan oil that comes from the Moroccan chamomile flower. When they steam distill this flower, it creates this amazing blue oil. And inside that oil is an active constituent called camphor and chamazulene. There's so many others, but those two alone are the main active constituents in this oil. And what makes this oil so significant because of those two things I just mentioned is that you can put this oil directly on the skin and it actually reverses sunburn and sun damage and reduces inflammation and things of that nature. Now, the chamazulene is the reason why the oil is blue as a result of steam distillation. So active constituents really give you the answers that you're looking for inside ingredients. So any ingredient that you're interested in, always look for the active constituent of that ingredient. And eventually you'll start doing this with everything and ingredients will be nothing to you.
I have a question about the Hydro Defense Serum.
Okay.
With the way that we put products on the skin, would it be applied before other products like our moisturizers? Or if we're using it as an SPF, would we still apply it at the very end of the skincare routine?
Well, with this particular product, it is extremely different from most products. So in this aspect, it would be the last step because it takes care of moisture. It takes care of all the different layers in between before you would apply your SPF. So this would be like your one-stop shop. And it also makes it easier for customers to just get right out the door, or even ourselves, you know, sometimes we don't want to use 5 to 10 bottles to look amazing for the day. So we can chop it down to 2 and it still does everything that we need, that we deem essential to a healthy routine. That is the Hydro Defense Serum.
Oh, okay. So you basically recommend it as a replacement for other products.
Yeah, it actually cuts down a lot of products out of the routine, whether it's in the treatment room or at home.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm like, I want it.
All right, do we have any other questions for hyperpigmentation or sun damage?
Really quick, I did have a question. You had asked if anyone had dealt with when like you see your client actually having more hyperpigmentation. Was that kind of going back to what you were mentioning earlier about the synthetic ingredients being part of the contributing factor? Okay, just wanted to make sure that's what it was. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so ways to improve these situations, ways to improve hyperpigmentation or sun damage, okay? Because both can be improved. It's not the end of the world. We have ingredients, modalities, and then there's diet. Now, we're not nutritionists, but we can make very, very light suggestions in regards to what has worked for us or what we know per our level of expertise. Now, as far as ingredients, this is a list of ingredients that can help anyone with hyperpigmentation and sun damage. We have tranexamic acid, we have ferulic acid, hydroquinone, glycolic acid, glutamic acid, kojic acid, hibiscus oil, niacinamide, soy extract, licorice root extract, arbutin, retinoids, azelaic acid, polyglutamic acid, mushroom extract, bakuchiol, papaya extract, ginseng extract, vitamin K, panthenol, vitamin D, and zinc. I'll give everyone a second to get this down. Please comment in the chat when y'all got it so we could move on to the next slide, by the way.
I don't know if I missed this at the beginning or if it will be gone over later in the slides, but referring to hyperpigmentation when it's caused by intense extractions, you were talking about hyperpigmentation coming from a release of heat in the body. Is that correct? So how do the two correlate together, I guess is my question.
That is an excellent question. Oh my God. Okay, so when individuals with predominantly eumelanin-rich skin take on extractions with the extraction tools and things of that nature, instead of the sun inducing the hyperpigmentation is produced as a result of trauma to the skin. And basically, the body recognizes that trauma and it produces inflammation, which is another form of heat. So when that happens, that's how the eumelanin starts to recognize that as something it needs to protect itself from. So if I got punched in the face hard enough, my body would think, okay, I need to make sure ain't nothing else getting up in there because that might be an open wound. Extractions are the same thing. If there's too much pressure and the nerves, once the sensory nerves begin to send messages of pain throughout the body, that's the body's way of saying, okay, something is wrong and this needs to stop. So as a result, that heat is produced, and followed behind that is the hyperpigmentation. So I'm glad that you asked that too, because if we're not hearing it, individuals with darker skin tones also endure post-inflammatory erythema, but because of the dark skin tone in their skin, we don't recognize it until it becomes hyperpigmentation. Does that help?
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Did we have any other questions about that? Is there anything anyone was waiting to ask centered around hyperpigmentation? Don't be afraid to ask me questions, y'all. Trust me, I love questions.
So after the extraction, say somebody gets a pigmentation, how would you treat it? Maybe I missed it, I'm sorry.
We're actually right here on the topic.
Got
it. Let's say, for example, I endured hyperpigmentation as a result of doing my own extractions. I was a little too rough. What I would do is I would look for products that have either of these ingredients. In my personal opinion, I would start with tranexamic acid because it works the fastest, right next to ferulic acid. Okay. I've seen results in days with tranexamic acid. So now, when it comes to modalities, these are the things that you can offer in your treatment room that will also help with hyperpigmentation, whether it's sun-induced or induced by trauma. The diamond tip microdermabrasion, as long as the suction is not too high, but also the manual microdermabrasion, which a lot of people sleep on and think that it's a thing of the past, but I would keep that around for hyperpigmentation because the aluminum oxide crystals produce amazing results when it comes to getting all that dark pigment off the surface of the skin. You can see visible, a huge visible difference in 1 hour getting a manual microdermabrasion. Okay, we also have enzyme peels, we have chemical peels, we have the jet plasma pen, microneedling, microchanneling, the Moxie non-ablative fraction laser, the PicoSure laser, and cryoskin. Does anyone here offer any of these modalities?
Yes.
Okay, so I heard a couple yeses, I heard a not yet. Okay,
Yes.
so for the individual that said not yet, are you offering none of these? Are you there? The lady that said not yet? Do you at least offer one of these modalities? Oh, she might be a little shy. Well, if you're listening, if I were you, my recommendation is to start out with the diamond tip microderm and also get you some aluminum oxide crystals and get yourself an enzyme peel or two. A lot of people like to offer micro peels with the microdermabrasion followed behind the chemical peel. But for individuals that kind of want to take it slow, you can start your client out with a micro enzyme peel. And the results actually will kind of be the same, but it's just not as aggressive, as long as you get a good enzyme.
How does the cryoskin work for hyperpigmentation?
Great question. I was dying for somebody to ask this question. Okay, so with cryoskin, when you get the, it's almost like cool sculpting on the face. That basically increases the cellular turnover rate, and all the surface skin cells begin to slow off and kind of fade away. With consistency, that'll continue to happen, and eventually you'll notice that your tone is lighter. Even when you pay attention to the individuals before and after pictures that get cryoskin, if you pay attention to that, you'll notice in the afters their bodies are lighter.
And I had a quick question.
Uh-huh.
These modalities, is this for sun damage and hyper or just hyper?
Both.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, for someone, let's say for someone that has melasma, I've done um, a series of 6 treatments, but 3 advanced and 3 basic, which were for maintenance. So it would be advanced, maintenance, advanced, maintenance, advanced, maintenance, right? And for this particular client, I did the the diamond tip microdermabrasion, followed behind a salicylic and glycolic peel mix. So she would get the micro peel, and then after that, we would do a maintenance of the I would give her a basic facial, and after that third treatment, after that series of 3 by month number 3, she was back to normal. So she had treatments for over a course of 90 days, and it was basically 2 treatments a month. And in that 90-day time frame, melasma, goodbye. And she loved it.
What are your thoughts on mandelic acid? I have a lot of Fitzpatrick, anywhere from 4 to 6. And I find that mandelic acid has been one of the best peels as far as for darker skins.
So mandelic acid is very nice. It's definitely going to help with the superficial aspect of hyperpigmentation. But if you ever come across someone that has something that's a little more deep in those layers of skin, then you may want to consider a different type of peel.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go right ahead.
Okay. I wanted to speak on I have really bad eczema, and that creates hypopigmentation. And I didn't know if you had covered that, but a lot of times when my eczema flares up, it'll leave me with hyperpigmentation after, I get it to go back down. And the enzyme peels, the first 4 things like that you have on the list really help well with that, because it just comes from I'm not 100% sure why it always does that, but I have had a lot of hyperpigmentation when I have an eczema flare up, and once it goes away, it kind of leaves that darker skin behind.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned this. This kind of goes back to the conversation I was having with the young lady that asked about the post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation as a result of extractions. So in your case, because I also let me show you something. Let me see. That's my eczema flare up right there. Okay, I get it too.
It looks like mine.
So I can't wait to show y'all. I'm glad y'all seen this, because I was gonna do it before and after of how I get rid of it. But the eczema alone creates inflammation underneath the skin. So it's already a lot of heat that isn't considered normal for the body. So that's where the post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation comes in. And if it's not that, sometimes we don't realize that we'll go like this and we'll scratch the area. And that is also a form of trauma to the skin. So when we're itching and things like that, it could cause the post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, or just getting the eczema flare-up alone could cause that to happen, especially if you have predominantly melanin-rich skin. You're definitely going to endure that post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. And again, it's a defense mechanism, because at the moment in time, your body is compromised. So the only thing it knows to do is to increase that melanin production so that it can convert those UVA and UVB rays into heat. And that heat is going to leave you with that post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. Now, for individuals that are wondering, in case you have clients that have this issue, the Hydro Defense Serum also helps with the eczema flare-ups. Anytime that I get one, it's gone within 72 hours, because I'm using it twice a day, but it addresses the inflammation and that sensitivity and that itchiness right away. So instead of scratching, I can just put the stuff on. But as you can see, I still got post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation just because I had the flare up.
Yes. I have to admit that I've checked your products out, and I love them. And I have learned how to formulate. And please, people, don't sleep on the blue tansy. When I saw that you used that in your products, I was really excited.
Yes, blue tansy is a miracle worker. A lot of people aren't familiar with it, but for those that are, there's a reason why that stuff is always sold out. Okay. Now, any questions about modalities or anything else on this topic?
I had a quick question. I was just waiting to ask. It's more of like a generalized question overall of like all products and stuff like that.
Okay.
There was this app that I was introduced to by someone, and I just wanted to know from your standpoint and your expertise, do you believe like an esthetician, is it valuable? It is called Yuka, Yuka, and it has like a carrot. You basically take it, you scan a product's barcode with your phone, and then it reads off all of the ingredients. Yup,
Yeah,
and it
that's
tells
amazing.
you if it's accurate or not.
That is amazing because that is what you can use when you're checking out that SPF that you're questioning. It'll tell you exactly what's in there and how harmful it is to the human body. I think that that's also something we should encourage our clients to start looking into, because then you don't have to feel so forced to pitch something that you know doesn't work, but it's the only thing that they're favorable over.
Yes, when I was just using it, I worked in Ulta for a short period of time, and I'm also a waxer at European Wax. I was so blown away by all the products I scanned that people kind of like overhype, and they kind of like, they think works for the skin, and I thought would work for the skin, but you read up on it, all the ingredients, and it tells you how bad it is, from like ordinary serum to like tea tree hut for exfoliation. I even scanned some of the products at my job because we have to sell products for our commission rate. And it's sad that I have to sell products to people that I know now aren't good for their skin. They're not, the products European offers aren't really too good for the skin, from exfoliation to moisturizer.
You'll learn that in this industry, a lot of people that have manufactured what we consider professional grade products that happen to find their ways up into Ulta Beauty, Sephora, and things like that. Again, a lot of the individuals that came out with these product lines, they have no level of expertise when it comes to the skin and just how in depth that goes. So if you notice with a lot of brands, when they send their reps out, the rep pretty much is telling you what they've been taught based on some documents that have been thrown together. But then you have the licensed professional saying, well, hey, I used the product and it did this, and I really like using it this way because it works better. And they're like, no, you have to use it this way because this is what our directions say. And this is how we do it with our product line. And that's exactly why that conflict and that hurdle is there, because the person on the end of that professional line does not have the expertise that the client has when they're investing in that line. So with Dermalogica, a lot of people are coming across issues where they're like, this is not, why is it so compromising to the skin barrier? Why does it dry my clients out so much? And then there are some people that love it because of other things that it's capable of, that brand. So I feel like every brand and every product line has something that they could work on, but the problem is they don't listen to the licensed professionals.
Thank you. I just want to make sure if I'm using it, it is actually going to help me rather than hurt.
It's excellent. The only thing I would suggest is if you are in a position where you have to pitch those products for that job, try to be careful with that, because in a sense, you be going against the grain.
Were you talking about the app Yuka?
Yeah.
Yes, I use that all the time. I use it for food. It is so great. The one thing I was making sure that was the app, is to be careful because they aren't licensed estheticians. They are all based out of not in the United States. I actually just got an email from them saying that they are coming to the United States. Like one is moving to New York, but they aren't licensed estheticians. And so a lot of times they'll say things are good that aren't necessarily good. And then the other way around as well.
And that goes back to what I said earlier when it comes to looking up ingredients and things of that nature. You always want to double back and make sure that you do your own research just in case you're being misled. If you find a government official website, my recommendation, anything that talks about an ingredient with .gov on the other end of it, you can trust it. Because that means scientists have taken the time out to study this thing for years before they put that information. Okay. Now, when it comes to, again, manufacturers of any product or any device or anything that we're using, like she said, and like I said earlier, sometimes they don't have a level of expertise that could help us. So you want to look into things yourself, even while having that app, because it may say this is a bad ingredient, but it could actually be a good ingredient. So I would merge the two together and still continue to be careful with that thing, because again, like she said, you can't trust it 100%, but you can trust yourself when you're doing research and you verify, okay, this is legit because it came directly from the source.
Like, can I ask, how do you feel about the preservative phenoxyethanol? Because I think that they say that one's bad. And the research I've done, I've seen yes and no on that, but
phenoxyethanol is a paraben-free preservative. So I personally don't find anything wrong with it, except for the fact that it can burn the client's eyes if the concentration is too high. So depending on the product, it might not be a good idea, but if it's like a cleanser or something like that, I don't think it's that bad. Like for water-based products, it's not that bad. Yeah, that's the one that gets a pass from me, if any of them did, because after doing some deep digging, it really is not bad.
like with that specifically, Dermalogica, that's the preservative they use in like every single one of their products.
You can smell it. If you ever notice the multivitamin toner, you can smell the phenoxyethanol really strongly. That's what that after scent is when you use that stuff. So with them, I think that's actually why the pH in their products is so high, because they probably aren't careful with the concentration of that preservative. If you can smell a preservative, that's not good. That's all I'll say. All right, so I assume we have no more questions about modalities.
I actually have one more question. I was just waiting.
Okay.
What's the difference between the two lasers you have listed there?
So the non-ablative fraction laser, if I'm not mistaken, that one targets pigment in the skin, and it has another function. And I might be getting them mixed up, but the difference between them is one of them has an extra function that the other one doesn't. So like it could be for targeting pigment in the skin, but it also could be for targeting other issues too, like for people that need hair removal and things like that. One of those machines does not target that. It just targets the pigment in the skin.
I work for a dermatologist, and she uses the Moxie for pigment to provide like a soft filter-like glow. And then the Pico laser she uses for acne scarring, because it goes a little deeper to basically tear apart that scar and heal that skin is basically how she explains it to people.
Right, so is the
So more
Pico
for
also the one that can be used for hair?
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the one that has the extra functionality. So it's the Moxie non-ablative fraction laser that targets the pigment by itself. Thanks for helping me with that. Because I definitely was gonna be like, yeah, I don't know which one it is, but one of them got a different function than the other one. All right. So diet. Now, I'm not going to focus too much on this, but these are the best recommendations where I have always told a client, try this. And they came back and said, you know what, over time, I noticed I did get lighter. So glutamic acid, when that is ingested or put into the body internally, it helps with brightening the skin a lot. In fact, when a lot of people go and they get IV hydration and things like that, glutathione is used for brightening. And a lot of people don't know that's basically glutamic acid. But there are, let me see, where is it? Okay, so Christine didn't put it here, but if you wanted to get access to glutamic acid and things like that, you basically could eat a lot of leafy greens, a lot of antioxidants have this stuff in there, borage seeds, yeah, glutamic acid, polyglutamic acid, those are brighteners, and a lot of people aren't familiar with that. Polyglutamic acid is also a humectant that holds 20 times its water weight over hyaluronic acid, which only holds 10. And the plumpness that it offers to the skin increases the cellular turnover rate, which results in a lighter complexion. But for people who are eating antioxidant-rich fruits and things like that, they would be getting that specific thing that I just mentioned out of that as a result of eating it. But you have your leafy greens, your tomatoes, nuts and seeds, you have your fish, carrots and potatoes, green tea, turmeric, water, and probiotic-rich foods. Now, as far as water is concerned, I don't mean H2O, and I'm probably about to go down a rabbit hole with this one, but just hang in there with me, y'all, okay? So there's this thing called structured water or H3O2 or easy water. It has different names, but basically water reaches 4 stages, okay? You have solid, liquid, and gas, which we learned in the beginning of schooling. And then the 4th stage is the super ionic stage, which that's where water reaches the electrophilic stage, and it's more like a crystal, it's more crystalline and things like that. This particular type of water actually helps with cell tissue repair. It helps expedite the healing process. It gives you a lot of vitamins and minerals, but it also increases your hydration levels beyond what you could ever imagine. Now, where can you find this type of water? This type of water can only be found in fruits and vegetables that are high in water content. Can anybody name some fruits and vegetables that are high in water content?
Watermelon.
Watermelon, strawberries.
Come on, y'all, come on. Watermelon is one of the main ones. Grapes, what else?
Celery.
Okay,
Cucumber?
yes.
Pineapples?
What was it?
Pineapples?
Yes, I was waiting on somebody to say pineapples. Now, I'm glad that you mentioned that one because a lot of people, somebody might be thinking, but isn't pineapples acidic? Yes, it is, but it still has 81% water content. Now, the interesting thing to note about H3O2 is it can range from acidic to alkaline, whereas regular water can also range from acidic to alkaline, but they only give us the neutral to alkaline water. They try not to give us the acidic water because obviously it's going to burn us up. It's no good. But with H3O2, it can range from acidic to alkaline, and it can be as harmful, but it's not as harmful if it's in a fruit or something like that. So for individuals that eat a lot of watermelon, if you notice, well, some of you might not, but you can eat a whole entire watermelon and not need an ounce of water in your body. And the reason for that is because the hydration levels in H3O2 is literally 3 hydrogens and 2 oxygens, whereas with H2O, it's 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. So you're getting a whole lot more bang for your buck by consuming those fruits that are high in water content. I would be careful with the acidic ones because you still can get that reaction where there's a little bit of burning and things like that, which is why watermelon is one of the best choices. Also, there's cactus water, there's coconut water. We have, even if you take your leafy greens and you take rainwater and things like that, that's all H3O2. Can this stuff be bottled? If anybody's wondering, no, it cannot. So no matter how much they tell you that that stuff is in a bottle, it's not. And the reason why is because it only comes from the sun. The infrared light that comes from the sun is what converts water into structured water. So without the infrared light, that activity goes back and it converts back into H2O, okay? Now, if you all want to try this out, for any of my drinkers out there, any of my alcoholics, okay, this is for you. Go out today, if you can, and take a shot. And then make sure that you have at least a quarter slice of watermelon at home, or get like one of those little trays where they have a few slices in there. Once you feel the intoxication getting the best of you, go for the watermelon. Eat it and you will feel your entire electromagnetic field restabilize. Your mental clarity will come back too. And you'll feel that alcohol just fading away, fading away, and fading away. If you did need a hangover the next day, this is how you prevent it, I promise you. Anybody have any questions about this? All right. Now, out of everything that we learned today, I have 3 questions here. And I want you all to answer. Maria, let me know what the verdict is in the comments. Does SPF prevent hyperpigmentation, ladies and gentlemen?
I say no.
Okay. Oh, you can speak out loud, but for those that don't want to, put it in the chat.
No.
No.
No. All right. Finally, so we understand SPF does not prevent hyperpigmentation. It can either contribute to it or it can just contribute to it, okay? But it's not going to prevent anything. And that leads to the next question. Does SPF inhibit tyrosinase activity? Yes or no?
I'm watching. Put it in the chat, ladies. No.
Okay, now next, if let's say, for example, we have an SPF 50. SPF 50, do we know what that means? Anybody want to tell me what SPF 50 means?
So the numbers just mean like how much protection supposedly, how much it's supposed to protect the skin from the sun, right?
Yes, and also how long. So for example, an SPF 30 means you have 300 minutes before you have to apply the SPF again. An SPF 50 means that you have 500 minutes before you have to apply the SPF again. So if I put on an SPF 50 and you're telling me put it on every 2 hours, what's wrong with that? Now, I can understand if I went to the beach, I can understand if I went working out and I sweated it out, But if I'm just having a normal day, why is it still on the directions? And why is every licensed professional saying wear it every 2 hours? I thought the sun protection factor was 500 millions. This is also how you know that most of the SPFs that are out there have that synthetic active ingredient there. Now, if we haven't learned anything today, we should have learned that tyrosinase inhibitors would be much better than an SPF for any client, whether they have pheomelanin or eumelanin in their skin. SPF is not made the way that it was supposed to be, and they need to reformulate immediately, because they have us out here lying to our clients saying that this stuff is solid and it works and you just need to find a good one. I guarantee if you look at the ones that you consider good ones, they're paired with antioxidants and other things that pretty much is doing the actual job over the sun protection factor that they've created. Was that a question? Somebody had a question for me?
I have a question.
Oh, go right ahead.
So looking back at all the ingredients you stated on the slide, how can because I work with a lot of clients, with higher fits, and what's the best formulation that's out there that could help with the
melanin-rich skin?
Yes.
So
and also like I was looking at those ingredients and it's all the good stuff. Is there a product that exists with all those ingredients in it? And what would you recommend?
So you're not gonna find a product with all of those ingredients at once, because some of them aren't compatible with each other. But what I can say is that the ingredients that were listed, what I would suggest is actually typing in tyrosinase inhibitors when you're doing your research. Also look up, because I don't like recommending specific brands. I don't want to be biased, which is why I also didn't mention my company. This is where you really get to be a licensed professional, do your research, and actually make your own call. Anyone else answering this question would have sent you directly to Image Dermalogica here, there, or whatever they personally feel works. But I want you all to walk away from this knowing that the only way that you can be the best is by doing your own research. So when you're looking for products that have all those ingredients, type in the type of product that you're looking for and put the ingredient that you're interested in next to it. If you want to find something that has majority of those ingredients, just mention the name of the product and put the ingredients next to it, and you will find something. If not, ask around in the esthetician groups and things like that. That way you can be pointed in the direction that you're looking for. Because I could sit there and recommend my products all day. I know they work. I know it's going to get the job done. But I wouldn't want to rob you of your opportunity to exhaust your expertise by looking into things. You get what I mean?
Yes. Sounds good.
All right. Did we have any other questions pertaining to SPF, hyperpigmentation, anything that we went over today?
Yeah, Derrick, there's a couple questions in the chat that I think kind of got looked over that I would love the answer to. One of them is someone asked something about steam for darker, higher Fitzpatrick's, also pertaining to steam using for extractions. So if we're not wanting to raise the body temperature because it's going to cause inflammation, would you recommend skipping steam as a step in those types of facials?
So for individuals with eumelanin-rich skin, when it is time for steam, as long as you don't go anything over 10 minutes without any type of lubrication on the skin, it is fine. Now, if you go over 10 minutes, what's going to start happening is the water molecules inside their body is going to be attracted to the steam. and it's going to exit the body, which is going to eventually compromise the skin barrier, dry them out, and make them prone to sensitivities, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, and things of that nature. I actually don't recommend steam for every client. A lot of estheticians were taught steam is incorporated in every facial. For individuals that are more combo to dry or sensitive, steam would be a last resort unless I have like a lot of dead skin buildup that needs to be removed. There's like a need for deep cleansing and decongestion and things of that nature. If it's not that kind of a case, I'm probably not going to use steam because I want them to maintain as much moisture, lipids, and hydration as possible. And that will prevent them from having post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation and things of that nature. When it comes to that, there are three main components that I go by. They need to be hydrated, they need to make sure that they're antioxidants, and there needs to be anti-inflammatories. As long as that's there, we can prevent hyperpigmentation because, as I said earlier, anytime that heat is produced underneath the skin, that's a risk for hyperpigmentation. When we are converting energy into heat, that is a risk for hyperpigmentation. And also for anyone that takes on any trauma, which will also create heat underneath the skin. So as long as a person is not put in any of those three positions, they should not be prone to hyperpigmentation. But please do get used to using the term eumelanin. I want you all to call that out. Instead of saying darker Fitzpatrick's, that's too, it's too generalized of a term. But when you're speaking directly to someone that is dark skinned with nothing else behind it, let's use eumelanin rich or anyone with eumelanin in their skin. Because what is that? That's simply dark pigment, dark brown eyes, dark hair, dark colors, hyperpigmentation. When we look at individuals predominantly pheomelanin, that's where we're looking at things like the sun damage. We have the post-inflammatory erythema. We have the rosacea, which is a lot more visible. Both ends of the spectrum can have rosacea, but someone with eumelanin-rich skin, it might not be visible, but it will come with some post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. And sometimes it is visible under a really good magnet, you can still see it. But try to call out the melanin as you see it, and it'll help you connect the dots in regards to what treatment you need to go by. If you say higher Fitzpatrick type and you follow the Fitzpatrick scale, you're still gonna feel limited. But if you speak to the melanin the way that you see it, then you'll know exactly what and what not to do based on how melanin responds to anything. Individuals with pheomelanin are not going to get dark spots, but they will get the post-inflammatory erythema, which is the red spots that are left behind. Okay, so as long as you pay attention to the type of melanin that you're dealing with, you will know if you'll risk hyperpigmentation or not.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, did you have any other questions or anybody else? I'm sorry, Maria, what was the other questions in the chat?
Let me check.
I want to make sure everyone gets addressed.
Pineapple, bring watermelon. No. My mind is racing and so confused. I require a mineral-based sunscreen that provides UVA and UVB and blue light protection and Ty inhibitors. I can't say that.
Tyrosine inhibitor.
Yeah. So that was just something. What are the questions? Did I miss? This has been so helpful. I am glad you did this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yes.
So back to sun damage versus hyperpigmentation.
Okay.
I feel like I'm basically learning like everything new again because I'm sure a lot of you can relate going into school. You're taught that sun damage is hyperpigmentation, like freckles and sunspots, like to basically treat it the same. So I kind of want clarification on that. And the pheomelanin equals sun damage, but the eumelanin equals hyperpigmentation, but not always sun damage. Is that kind of correct way to look
That is
at it?
correct. That is correct. It can be, so here's the thing. You can, this is why the Fitzpatrick scale, and also what you mentioned is, it needs to be, they need to stop teaching this. If, let's say, for example, you have a client, and we'll use the Fitzpatrick scale. Let's say you have someone that's a Fitz 1 through 3. They come into you and you say, okay, this is hyperpigmentation, all right? Now let's go back to the sun damage, okay? Let's say one of these individuals came in and we caught this hyperpigmentation, and they say, okay, well, what can we do to prevent this from coming in? We can hit them with the tyrosinase inhibitors, we can hit them with the brighteners and all the modalities, and it will improve, but they will wanna know how to prevent it from coming in. And if they have an understanding that they are producing eumelanin as a result of being out in the sun, then this will never stop because it's not eumelanin. This is dead. Like when you look at all the sun damage that's there, that's all dead skin and inflammation and things of that nature. So depending on the case, for individuals that apply products on some of the things that we're seeing here, nothing may ever happen because that skin is dead. We have to exfoliate, remove things out the way, and touch what's alive. That way it can actually, you know, reverse. Now, the aspect of eumelanin production, it only happens as a result of trauma or in absorbing UVA or UVB rays, okay? Electromagnetic radiation is UVA and UVB rays, okay? Now, if a pimple was popped in my face and there was too much pressure, that is recognized as trauma. I'm gonna produce a higher concentration of eumelanin. If anyone on this particular screen with predominantly pheomelanin in the skin had the same thing happen to them, they're gonna get a red spot, not a dark spot. And that's why you can't treat hyperpigmentation and sun damage as the same thing, because no matter how you look at it, when trauma is introduced on either end of the spectrum, two different things happen. And sometimes when we see this, we'll think that that is eumelanin. But if you know an individual is predominantly with pheomelanin, then how is it that they're getting hyperpigmentation? They don't produce eumelanin to produce that dark pigment in the skin. So what else could it be if not damaged skin cells, dead skin?
Okay, and so then to treat the sun damage, it would have to be more of like a physical, like maybe like lasers, exfoliation, those types of things, rather than if it was hyperpigmentation, we would use like, I don't know, an enzyme or something else.
Well, no, actually for both, either of those modalities could be used. When it comes to laser, you just have to know what laser targets pigment and whether it's going to lighten or darken the pigment. That's the problem with laser treatments, is some people don't know which laser is for what. So, like we talked about earlier, microdermabrasions, manual microdermabrasions, peels, tyrosinase inhibitors will help either end of the spectrum. The tyrosinase inhibitor is going to help with the pheomelanin because at the end of the day, it's still a form of melanin that is producing. Basically, pheomelanin responds differently to in incorporating, basically, if you have UVA and UVB rays penetrating your skin, right? And let's say you have predominantly pheomelanin showing up in your skin. I can't see you right now, but let's say you go out to the beach. The difference between you and a person with eumelanin is that the UVA and UVB rays don't make it past the melanocytes. And the melanocytes that come from eumelanin, they perform internal conversion. Pheomelanin does not have this ability, which is why the UVA and UVB rays pass through to the internal organs. As a result of that, this is what shows up in the skin. Are you able to follow me now? Do you get where it's going?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
All right. And just one more example, in case anyone else may be a little confused, because again, this is something that you definitely have to unlearn what you learned in school to understand it, because what they're teaching us in school is misleading. And I guarantee you, if you have this conversation with your clients and you told them from this perspective what they're dealing with, it would make more sense to them when things happen. So let's see, I'm gonna use my PlayStation remote and this thing here, okay, this piece of paper. So for individuals with pheomelanin in their skin, this is what the UVA and UVB rays are doing. Going right through that paper, just like that, and into the internal organs, okay? Just like that. Now, with eumelanin, because it has all of that dark pigment, it immediately takes that stuff and spits it right back out. Look at it like a, you know, you ever put two magnets up against each other and they fight, they never connect? That's what's happening with the UVA and UVB rays when they come in contact with melanin. It's like, you ain't getting in here. You could turn into this and you can get right back out. Okay? And that energy that is being dissipated from the body is heat. That's why people who get so hot on that end of the spectrum, they're like, it's hot as hell outside. I don't understand. They're generating that heat over and over and over and over again, just standing outside. And that's why they get darker and darker and darker. And for those who tan, that is your body's way of saying, hey, the sun is really starting to damage your skin. Eventually, you're gonna have a lot of inflammation show up. And that inflammation is basically your endpoint to get out of the sun, because you don't get darker, but you're still gonna have that inflammation. Both parties get the inflammation, but one has that pigment that's going to prevent the actual damage that's going to be caused. Now, remember, for 1 to 2% of individuals that have predominantly eumelanin in their skin, they still are at risk for having these kinds of situations take place. This would be your individuals with fair skin, also individuals with mixed ethnicities, but also a person as dark as I am could endure sunburn and sun damage as a result of their eumelanin concentration not being as high, or they might not be able to produce as much as they need to continuously convert UVA and UVB rays into heat. So that's why that can happen. Have you been hearing the stories about the people in Texas getting sunburned? How a lot of Black people are like, oh my God, I'm getting sunburned, I'm getting this, I'm getting that, because we're not invincible. But we still need to follow the science to understand what's happening. Okay, now, what do we recommend for individuals who refuse to wear SPF? I was hoping someone asked this question. So for anyone that feels like SPF is just something that they can't wear, you need antioxidants and you need hydration, humectants, and lipids. As long as you have that, especially the antioxidants, you're good. You have to fight free radical damage or these things will happen.
You said antioxidants, humectants, and what else?
Lipids.
Okay.
And lipids you get from like oil-based products, because it has a different type of hydration that water-based products can't offer.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Did we have any more questions in that chat, Maria?
I have a quick question about LED treatment. What would your opinion be on LED treatment? You know, because it does generate heat and it's fairly close to the skin when you're doing the treatment.
So I'm glad that this was asked. Oh, y'all got this. I'm loving y'all questions. So depending on, first off, I love LED light therapy. I am obsessed with LED light therapy. Ever since I was introduced to it, I've been using it. Now, today, some of the manufacturers are getting a little too creative, and it's not LED light therapy anymore because they're starting to incorporate near infrared lights, and things like that. So if we're speaking direct LED light therapy, meaning the light emitting diodes match the same amount of heat that produce in the human body, then yes, it's definitely safe no matter how close it is. It does produce heat, but it's not the type of heat that would cause inflammation in the body. Red LED light therapy, for example, it stimulates blood flow, it stimulates collagen production, but it also reduces inflammation. So it sends the blood back where it belongs instead of making it rise to the surface. I have personally gotten rid of broken capillaries, broken blood vessels, the varicose veins and things like that using LED light therapy in my sessions. Now, if you're talking like Lightstem and Saluma, they are two manufacturers that I know incorporate the near infrared light with the red LED light therapy. And sometimes people don't realize that that's not ideal. So you may come across some individuals that get the adverse reactions or they get hyperpigmentation as a result of LED light therapy. That means it wasn't just LED light therapy, I can assure you, because LED light therapy is literally the same temperature as the blood in your body. So it's made to pair with the body in communication, whether it's the red light, the blue light, the green one, it does not matter. But once you have infrared light in there, that's not LED. Infrared light is basically what you feel when you come outside into the sun. As we all know, that makes us all red or get darker. So just make sure that you're not using near infrared light and you're good. That's my viewpoint on LED light therapy.
Do you have a preferred manufacturer or device that you like to use for LED therapy?
Me personally, I love Lightstem, but I feel like they've become too pricey. So for anyone that's looking to get started and you have like a machine that you just want to start it out and see how it goes, I actually recommend, there's one on Amazon for like $100. And it's matter of fact, it's the small square white one, and it has like all the lights on it and everything. That one is perfect to start out with because it's not as strong. You'll never have an adverse reaction with your clients, but the efficacy is there.
If you send me the link, I can add it in the newsletter.
Yes, I'm gonna send you a link so that they can get that. But yes, trust me, that thing, it's for $100 and some. I think any beginner or anyone that is looking to start out using it, it's the perfect one to start out with because you can even travel with it if you do traveling services, like if you do any concierge aesthetics. You have like your VIP clients where you're traveling to their home. It's portable. Like you can take it apart and bring it with you, put it together on site, and it doesn't take long.
And you also said you like Lightstem?
I do like Lightstem, but if they're not incorporating the near infrared, you have to make sure that you're paying attention to that because
touch anything because
they're pushing this near infrared thing. You have to get the original lights. Even the handhelds are fine. I think their handheld devices are better than the overheads.
Yeah, because they just came out with the new hands-free, the Ellipsa, and I believe that one has the near infrared. And I actually just purchased 2 of their handheld devices. And I think that in the education that they sent me, they also, the red light therapy also does have some near infrared in it now.
That's the problem. And that's why people are getting hyperpigmentation or post-inflammatory erythema and getting fired from their jobs because they don't know these things. And it's like the light stem, they don't know what we know about LED light therapy and near infrared light. So to be incorporating that in every last one of your machines, it's becoming a liability for us as licensed professionals. And that's why I stopped recommending them, because I've seen how bad this can get for some people, especially for a client that's like, yeah, I have rosacea, what can I do? And if you're in one of those spas where you have to do upgrades and you have to pitch this and pitch that, it looks really bad when you talked your client into getting this new machine incorporated in their routine and they left looking like someone beat them up.
Could you repeat the melasma treatment you stated earlier? And also, can you speak on hydroquinone?
So with hydroquinone, I'll start there. That is an excellent ingredient for reversing hyperpigmentation in eumelanin-rich skin. I think that it's a really good ingredient if you want like results where you're not waiting a very long time. But if you want something safer, I would stick with tranexamic acid because it really is the safest option. You could wear that stuff every day and it's fine. As far as the melasma treatment, are you saying the treatment that I did for my client where she had the series of 6 treatments?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so what I did was a series of micro peels. So this was a 90-day journey with 2 facials per month over a course of 90 days. So the first treatment was the micro peel, which was the microdermabrasion followed behind the chemical peel. It's 1 pass for the peel. It's 2 passes with the microderm, 1 pass with the peel.
Okay.
After that, you do a maintenance treatment. Now, if you're gonna do a micro peel, make sure it's not medium depth. It needs to be superficial. That way it's not too aggressive.
Gotcha.
After that, you do a maintenance treatment. What I did for her was my basic 24K repair facial followed with an oxygen infusion. And that pretty much helped her with hydration, plumpness, and things of that nature. Month 2, we did the same thing. And then month 3, we did the same thing. So you're basically following that micro peel, oxygen infusion, micro peel, oxygen infusion. And after that last treatment, she was completely happy. She actually lives in downtown Miami, so she's always in the sun. She literally does her social media stuff in the sun every single day. And she has to because she has a huge following. But the one thing I can say is that ever since I got rid of that melasma, she's been using the Hydro Kit faithfully. I mean, even before we got rid of that, and she has not had the melasma flare-ups ever since.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Because I was gonna ask you, is she doing any home care regimen? But you answered that for me. Now, are your products, is it open for like other estheticians?
Yes, I only cater to consumers, but not like you would think. They just can shop on the website. But for our licensed professionals, there's a whole caliber of things in the back for us, but there's also a completely different level of access for you. If you're interested in the product line or anything like that, you can actually submit a partnership application at aesthetics.com. And my assistant, Christine, she will process you and get you set up. That way we could have a discovery call.
I put the link in the chat as well.
Okay,
I have
thanks.
a really quick question. I'm not rushing it. Have we gotten
No,
through?
I love questions. That's what I'm here for.
Have we gotten through all the slides?
We did, actually. I was getting ready to congratulate them, but they started hitting me with the questions. Like, we basically are at the right point. I wanted to show everybody this screen so that they can subscribe to the newsletter. because we kept mentioning that and I was waiting for that question. So in order to get access to the replay, but also all of the things that Maria mentioned is going to be in the newsletter, you can subscribe to the Money Making SD newsletter and unlock access to the replay and also the information on our next session. You'll get exclusive updates on that and also any other courses or events that we may do for you all.
I did have a couple of questions really quick that people asked if they can get the slides to print them.
Yes, so in order to do that, that brings me to the next screen. So all you have to do is email us at support@osthetics.com. And if you participated in this class, put your first and last name and that you participated in the Understanding of Hyperpigmentation course. And you will get a copy of this exact presentation as well as your certification. That way, if you need to print this out, if you need to look at it again, if you want a copy of the melanin scale will come with it. It's literally within the slide, but I'm gonna send a separate one as well. That way, if you just wanna have that, you have it.
This has been amazing. So the next one, I'm trying to do a let's get ready for peel. So like how to prep a skin. And then I can't pronounce it, but it's the inhibitors.
Tyrosine.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. I am so passionate about this. I want to say thank you so much. Subscribe to the newsletter so you can see the next one. And we're not done yet. So if you guys have more questions, keep going.
Yes, this is literally Q&A time. So if you have questions, load me up.
So it's not a question, but I wanted to come back. I'm the one that had mentioned the LED question. And I mentioned I had just bought 2 handhelds from Lightstim. And with you talking about the infrared, I was curious. So I looked it up, and the only handheld device that does not contain infrared is their acne one. And the other ones, their anti-aging actually is 855 nm in their wavelengths for the anti-aging. And then in their pain one, they have a deep infrared light in it that's 940 nms. So I just thought that was interesting.
That is some helpful information. So it's not that they've done it with all of them, but they basically have incorporated it in a lot of them, but they still have. So the acne one is the one to go for if you don't want to cause any redness. If you want to take away redness, the acne one is the one that I will go for. But you know, another good one, the purple one that they have, where it's the mix of the blue and the red like together. I don't know if they still manufacture that one, but that
so
one is.
I think that's the one they advertise as the anti-aging one, and that one does have infrared.
See, now they ruining it. Oh my God. They really up.
Funny enough, we might be doing a live with them soon. So maybe we can ask these questions.
I think we need to ask, and it more than just asking questions. Can we ask them to kind of make sure that they keep us in mind when they make these machines?
They actually really do cater to the esthetician. They're like really trying to pay attention and like hear and get feedback from what we want. That's kind of why they came out with that new model. So they very much have us in mind, which I love the fact that they were willing to come to the group and like listen, ask questions, do a presentation, and kind of see what we need, basically.
Okay, well, when is that? Because I'd love to participate.
I will let you know ASAP. I'm hoping like December, or if not January.
Okay, awesome. All right, any other questions? I know somebody got a question for me.
I know. I'm going to create a chat for our next one. So in the event page, I'm able to make a chat, which I really like the idea of making the chat so we can have in-time real questions. So if somebody comes up with like, I don't know what to do with this client, you can actually like post real pictures.
Yeah.
And we can talk about real products like in real time. And the chat will only be dedicated to like treating somebody on the different like scales or whatever. What is it called?
The melanin scale.
The melanin scale, which I think would be really, really helpful.
Yes. So that is perfect. So if y'all like, especially if, let's say, for example, you really want to hone in on the different types of melanin, you really want to understand that in full depth, that's the perfect way to do it. Asking questions pertaining to the type of melanin, or if you want to, let's say you have something you really don't know what you're looking at. You like, I kind of think I see both, but I'm not sure. Get us out of the woodworks and we'll get those questions answered for you.
I'm gonna make a list really quick of everything you guys want me to include in the newsletter. So the newsletter, you guys want the LED link, the new event. I'll also put the link to the new chat that I just said. Is there anything else you want me to put in? A link to your products.
Someone asked about there was something else. I can't think of it right now.
You guys are also welcome to put in the chat if there's anything else I'm missing. So I put LED link, new event link, new chat link, product link.
Oh yes, their copy of the copy of the ebook and melanin scale. Just remember to email us your first and last name and that you participated in the class, and everybody, as long as you emailed us, you'll get a copy.
I could also add your email on there too.
And then don't forget, to me, the replay is better because you get all of this with me talking in real time. So like if there was anything that you felt like you didn't quite understand during the lecture, you could just hit rewind.
Yeah, there was a lot to take in.
Yes.
I have a small question if you have a moment.
Of course.
So I have a client who's very pheomelanin, and I wouldn't say it's hyperpigmentation. I definitely say it's sun damage all on her legs. Like it has completely taken over her legs. There are spots on both legs covering from top to bottom. What would you recommend for somebody who's trying to target that on their legs?
So for her, a series of microdermabrasions followed with tyrosinase inhibitor for post-treatment would be a miracle worker for her. If it's just the legs, that means that she probably dealt with a lot of mosquito bites and things like that. Or some sort of bug bites or something where it got itchy and ugly and she had to, you know, if that's not the case, then, because here's the thing, you could be looking at hyperpigmentation. Remember, either end of the spectrum can get it, but you have to know what you're looking at in order to know the distinct difference. I have seen an individual who's predominantly pheomelanin. One of my partners in North Carolina, we were doing a 3-day intensive training, and one of the models, she literally had like, I thought it was sun damage up under her eye area right here. And we were doing some microneedling. And with one of my products, one of the things that it does is kind of reverse certain things depending on what modality we use. I had never seen melanocytes retract right in my face in real time like I did on this woman. I've never seen it before at all, but I went from thinking she had sun damage to realizing that was eumelanin production from her absorbing UVA and UVB rays right under the eye area. And when we talked about her genetic makeup, she said that she knows that her great-grandfather is a Cherokee Indian. So these things can show up in so many different ways that you just have to really look, but also ask questions to be able to put the dots together. So it could be post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, or it could be just a result of her taking on sun damage, or it could be bug bites that produce dead skin cells after, you know, you do all the scratching and everything. But the only way to find out is by doing that deep exfoliation and putting that tyrosinase inhibitor on.
Okay, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
When you said you came to North Carolina and did a 3-day intensive session, was that just with a business that you did that with, or was it a class that you were offering? And may I ask what part of North Carolina?
Oh, it's I always mess the name up. I hope I don't butcher it this time, but it was Fuquay Varina, North Carolina. And yes, it's very like there's a lot of farming out there. It's like very country, but I was so shocked to find a spot out there, and it's beautiful. But the training session was specific to that spa because she wanted to incorporate some new things into her business. So it's not like a collective class that I offer, but if you want like intensive training on site at your location, that is something that we offer. You would just have to contact us, obviously.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Did anyone else have any questions or anything pertaining to the course today?
Recommendations on this class, maybe I would have to repeat and maybe watch it again, but it's a lot of interesting information. I've learned quite a bit. And so I think like I have a new understanding of like SPF, and in that, you know, when you mentioned about the chemicals, so what would like, I don't want to say what would you recommend, because I mean there's so much SPF out there and we've been taught
these problems, I know. So, okay, when you look into an SPF, if let's say, for example, you want to know if it's a good one or not, the only one that I personally have recommended outside of the Hydro Defense Serum, I actually have to look this stuff up because it was, when I was a student, I was introduced to it by my instructor. And I was like, oh, wow, this is very interesting. So I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know the name of it, but I'll make sure that Maria puts it in the newsletter. But it's like a clear see-through SPF. It's not, it doesn't have any toxic ingredients in there. And it was the first of its kind that I had seen. It almost looked like a serum, kind of, but it's translucent. And I've seen amazing results. I had not seen anyone complaining about it when I looked into it. The ingredients are nice, but the only other thing I would recommend is the Hydro Defense Serum. And the main reason for that is because it doesn't cause adverse reactions or allergic reactions. Like literally anybody could wear this and they'll be okay.
Thank you. And this would be for both eumelanin and pheomelanin, right?
That is correct. So just to give you an overview, my company practices universal skin science, which is exactly what you were introduced to today, which is why you were learning the diversity in melanin and how it shows up, because we don't just cater to one specific skin type or condition. Our products and services are universal. So the science behind that is also calibrated in that way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to say thank you so much for this class, especially just as a Black woman. Again, I know someone else said it before, how they really don't go into depth, you know, in school, but I mean, just whether it's aesthetics, cosmetology, all of it, like they really don't teach anything when it comes to, you know, people that have a higher melanin and just how, you know, their body reacts differently. So this is something that honestly should be brought to all schools, in my opinion.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I actually plan on getting this incorporated into the education system because I realized how important it really was. I have been sitting on this for a really long time, But I realized there are so many people asking for information like this. So I'm like, I can't just sit on this. This stuff needs to be put out there because it can help so many people. And that's what the goal was, to help you all. Do we have any questions or any more comments or anything else from anybody today? Going once? Going twice?
There was one in the chat.
Okay, what is it?
Are you offering a course on this topic?
When you say course, like hands-on or virtual? They probably haven't gotten it out, but oh, I'm sorry.
Can you recommend a series of treatments for pigmentation and blemishes on the neck area? She is on the high melanin side, and she also has melasma. Thank you so much.
Yes, a micro peel protocol would be good for her. I would suggest a tyrosinase inhibitor as well for post-treatment, but someone like that could use a microderm with maybe like a glycolic or even a salicylic peel is okay. Those two in a series of 3 to 6 treatments, but it needs to be the same way that I did it. I would do the peel once a month, do the maintenance that second time, do another peel, maintenance, another peel, and maintenance. But they need proper home care. So as long as you have a good home care regimen to make sure that nothing is going south, it will be a success. But I recommend getting a tyrosinase inhibitor that has tranexamic acid in it, or something that at least is going to produce the results that you're looking for. Even the bio repeal, from what I understand, is not that bad. I have seen some melanin rich folk get the treatment done and there was no adverse reaction, but there's still a lot of information that has not been unraveled about the peel. So I don't go around like recommending it as much. I'm still kind of learning myself.
I've been using it and I have a lot of melanin rich. Actually, my best friend's here and I'm about to do it on her today. And she's like, I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's been really cool. I also prep the skin though. So a lot of people say just jump straight into it. I make sure they're on a good regimen, make sure they're not on actives, and I have very clear instructions, and then I feel comfortable. I had somebody who was probably like 5 and she had a lot of pigmentation on her chin and it lifted really nice.
Yeah, so if I were y'all, if you can afford this new amazing bio repeal, incorporate that with your micro peel and you might get some amazing results. You might not even need the tyrosinase inhibitor, because I have seen some nice results with it. But again, I want to get my hands dirty with it and see what I can do with it, because I've seen some stuff now. I'm talking scars, wrinkles, everything.
Cool. I was gonna ask you, somebody else said, somebody who has melanin rich skin, how would you do their extractions? I'm not gonna lie, I'm scared to do their extractions and I go so soft that I'm so scared.
So if you are afraid of causing hyperpigmentation, one of the things that you can practice with the tools is your pressure. That within itself will go a long way. And how you can practice this is get someone that is predominantly with pheomelanin in their skin. If you cause any redness on their face while doing the extractions, you're not going to be ready for the eumelanin rich skin. Now, if you want to try a softer approach, I always recommend 4x4s wrapped around the fingertips. that is one of the easiest ways to perform an extraction without post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation.
We should do a whole live just on this.
I would do a video tutorial and everything. I don't mind.
I love lives.
I have
Also,
a question about the hydro defense serum. So for example, in states that you know, have the legal requirement of applying an SPF after certain modalities, dermaplaning specifically, would this basically hold up to those standards because it has broad spectrum sun protection in it, or do you feel like that would be an issue for state guidelines?
No, it wouldn't be an issue because what really makes up an SPF is the ingredients. So as long as the zinc is in there, which it's naturally in there at high concentrations, it can pass for an SPF. Now, remember, this thing is not an SPF, but it has a sun protection factor of 2,880 to 4,372 if it were to be a sunscreen. So it offers longer lasting protection, but it also, it doesn't go again. One of the best things that I like about it, which also seems to be a legality situation with SPF, some places you can't even wear SPF if you're going to like the beach or the lakes and things like that. You just can't wear it, and they don't care if you're getting burned or blistered or anything. You're not going to harm the coral reefs, and you're not going to harm the animals. So for individuals in states like that, this alternative has been perfect for them because they're not harming the environment and they're still protected.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next question.
Can you tell me what micro peels you recommend, or do you sell them?
Okay, so a micro peel is a microdermabrasion and a chemical peel in one treatment. So the recommendation, I would say, as long as you have a diamond tip microdermabrasion, whatever peel that you are attracted to, whether it's image, whether it's dermalogica, whether it's PCA, you can use it as long as it's superficial. Do not do medium depth or anything like that because it will be too aggressive and you could have an adverse reaction.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. The next question. I want y'all to be right behind each other like, okay, next. Do we have any in the chat, Maria?
Which chemical do you use?
Which peel?
Do you use?
Okay, so I have used Image, I've used PCA, and Dermalogica. Out of the and Rhonda Allison. Now, out of those few, my favorite was Rhonda Allison, and I would say Image because, well, Image stopped selling their salicylic peel the one that I liked, but that peel was amazing. As far as Rhonda Allison, they were the first that I had come across where the peels work like the bio repeal, where it works from the inside out. And you would see like minimal shedding and things like that. There's no actual peeling and all that downtime and all that other stuff. That's one of the things that I liked about them, but also because they had they have this melanin suppressant solution, which is kind of something that's used to prep the skin for the peel. And that prevents post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation with their line. So that's one of the reasons why I liked them a lot, because they had things in place to, you know, prevent any adverse reaction for anyone that has a high concentration of eumelanin in their skin. Now, for anyone with pheomelanin that's of a higher concentration, it still is good because you're not as sensitized by the peel. and there isn't as much downtime, which I really love. And the glow is out of this world. Now, when you pair that with the Hydro Kit post-treatment, anyone that felt like normally after getting a peel, they're very sensitive, itchy, or, you know, all that other stuff that comes behind it, they didn't feel that nearly as they would have, you know, by itself. So those are chemical peel brands that I know for a fact, when paired with what I've used, worked out just fine. In fact, next month, when we talk about chemical peels, we're actually going to go more in depth about the different modalities that you can pair them with, the different aspects of prepping the skin and how soon you should do that. We're going to go really in depth about peels and all that good stuff, because, you know, chemical peel season is coming. It's practically here.
We are here.
In Florida, we're not here yet. It's too hot. All right, do we have any other questions?
How far apart would you recommend between peels when they do a series?
When you do a series of peels, it depends on the peel. Like if we are doing, like for example, the bio repeal, they say you could do that weekly, but
7 to 10 days.
I would not, I wouldn't, unless you know for a fact this is someone who produces, let's say their cellular turnover rate is more rapid than normal. You have someone that has like a high accumulation of dead skin cells, like in layers, to the point where there's a lot of work to be done. That's a person that could do like the bio repeal weekly. For you know, more traditional peels, the idea is really to wait at least 14 to 30 days. Okay, for some people, they can get them every 2 weeks. Some people just have to go once a month. It really depends on your client. And my suggestion is always start them out with something small. I never start a client out with an actual peel first. I start them out with an enzyme. And to them, that's their first peel. And then I work my way up to the prep solution for that peel. And I do 1 or 2 passes of that. Then they get the actual peel. So I still believe in working the tolerance of the skin up to that point, because it really does work and the body will recognize those steps.
I agree 10,000%.
Now, when it comes to a recommendation for post-treatment, like right after a peel, I honestly think a lot of people should get into this is for any advanced modalities, really. Anytime you come across a client where you have to perform a sensitizing treatment on them, I think that should always be followed with an oxygen infusion. I know a lot of people don't do a lot of oxygen infusions, but they are still very popular for a lot of celebrities, and it's still an amazing treatment to incorporate in so many different ways. And one of them is, you know, for calming the skin after a really aggressive treatment. An oxygen infusion could really take you guys a long way when it comes to sending the client out the door and them feeling like nothing ever happened.
Is the oxygen infusion like that little gun?
Yes, that's the thing that you do with the spray gun, almost like the spray tanning or airbrush makeup, but straight product.
Yes, I love that.
I really love that. It's such a refreshing treatment, but it will never get old. It won't.
Alrighty, if we don't have any more questions, I am going to get to work on this newsletter today. It should be sent out 24 hours. So give me till 12, because I'm going to get all the info from you, and then I'm going to send it out. I'm going to do all the good things that go behind the scenes. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'll 5 more minutes for questions, or you think, is everybody good?
Yeah, I'll leave a little more room for questions. So if anybody has, you know, a few things that they want to ask me before we go, I can get you covered. If not, I will see you all next time.
What is
Where
your
for the oxygen infusion?
enzymes?
Where did you get that, or like where are we able to find more information on that?
So with oxygen infusions, I actually learned about that as a student. We used to work with, I can't even remember the name of that brand, but oxygen infusions, I was introduced to that because an oxygen infusion and the microdermabrasion is actually an old school version of the hydrofacial. So they modernized the microdermabrasion and the oxygen infusion to create the hydrofacial, which is how I kind of learned about it. The oxygen infusion helps with so many things. It increases the cellular turnover rate. It also desensitizes the skin. It's very cooling to the client, but it also pushes any serums or any products that you really need to get in those deeper layers of the skin. The oxygen infusion will push those things in at a molecular level. So it will be in there like really well versus applying it directly on the skin where you have to work it in. It takes time to penetrate. You're basically driving this stuff right in there with the oxygen infusion. Now, as far as product, like where can you get things to perform an oxygen infusion? Here at Aesthetics, we actually have a energizing oxygen solution that you can pair with the Hydro Defense Serum to perform your oxygen infusion.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. I saw someone ask a question about skin scripts enzymes.
Yeah. What is your opinion for the skin script enzymes?
Okay, so skin scripts enzymes, my opinion on that is I think that some of their enzymes are really good. I feel like some of them, however, can be a little too spicy and aggressive for the skin. So if you are working with skin scripts enzymes, you need to have something in your treatment room that can be used as a fail-safe in case it's too much for the client.
I love skin script. I think I'm a skin script like expert. So there is a way to break them up. So for example, I've actually gotten amazing results with skin script. You can cut it with one of their masks, like the spiciness. And they also give you like, they just came out with like a eucalyptus enzyme. So I normally start everybody off on like a eucalyptus or coconut, like 2 facials. Then I bump it up a notch. 2 facials, and then I go to chemical peels when I use.
Like it smells amazing.
Yeah.
A coconut enzyme? Oh, wow.
Oh, their eucalyptus enzyme. If you guys are trying to start with skin script, get the eucalyptus enzyme. I think it's like $32, and their honey mask. And that is the perfect first time facial.
Yeah, that sounds nice. You're welcome. You're welcome, ladies. You're so welcome. How far apart would you recommend? We did that one. Are you familiar with KRX? I've been looking to switch to their line. I am not familiar with KRX. Wait, is that Clarity already?
No, I'm super familiar with CareX. It's a Korean skincare line. I just took their course this weekend. There's this carboxy treatment that I am like looking into, and then these like customized ampules. I very much am falling in love with KRX.
Okay.
I like to use everything.
I never answered Francesca. There is a course on this topic, but it's hands-on. With this particular topic, as you can see, it's a big pill to swallow. So I like putting things in front of you where you can actually see in real time how we would navigate treatment and how we would really have the discussion with our and things of that nature. I'm really going through here. Earlier, I couldn't see none of this stuff. We will get you the link for the LED. Let me see. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad that this was informative and helped you out. My little security guard is killing me right now. Buddy, I'm in the middle of something.
Well, thank you guys.
Oh, he's making no. Is there like a construction site or something going on somewhere in your
Yeah, for
background?
me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he's barking at. I kept trying to figure out what is it. I'm like, nobody's out here. Okay, let me see.
I cannot wait for the next one. I have my next client at 12. So I'm gonna hop over there.
Okay, you go ahead and take care of your client. I'm trying to see if I could answer. All right, I think that's all the questions that we got. Thank you guys so much for joining, you ladies. I cannot wait until the next class. Be sure to email us for your certification and also your copy of this particular literature that you got introduced today and your copy of the melanin scale. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.